Hello, everyone, and welcome into the SunDevilSource series recap following Arizona State's series split with Ohio State. Sun Devils take Game 4 of this series, a rare Game 4 in 8 innings. Kind of strange here at Phoenix Muni today. They win it by a final score of 10-8. Noah Furtado, Stake Seymour, and Blake Neiman, myself, all SunDevilSource reporters here to break it down for you. And Noah, we got news after the game from Coach Willie Bloomquist. Nick McLean, the star outfielder, Pac-12 honorable mention last season, that he's going to be back next week. It's expected to get cleared tomorrow after a doctor's appointment to compete in this upcoming Globe Life Classic with some big top 10 teams. So how much of a boost is he going to provide to this lineup that has been able to, gain some other pieces and other looks at some guys through this early going in the season?
We've been able to see a lot of different players more than we would have otherwise if Nick McLean was healthy to start the season. Obviously, when he comes back, he locks down the other corner outfield spot opposite of Harris Williams. But in the meantime, we've been able to see someone like Kian Vu, who has actually been very solid offensively and defensively. He gets 2 hits today. They were able to mix around things. Brandon Compton gets some run in a corner outfield spot. Also will probably be one of their leading candidates at DH as the season progresses. Just based on how he's performed, has hit extremely well, gets the grand slam go-ahead today. And I think there's almost, you have that positive, right, of, okay, you don't have one of your best hitters for a little bit, but also you get to feel out all your other options and how stable they've been in terms of the guys they've mixed in and out of the lineup here in the first 8 games in 10 days. It's been something where now when Nick comes back, they have an understanding of what they have, and the fact that the offense has still been pretty consistently strong in his absence is also something that it wasn't a letdown when you lost him.
Yeah, it's one of those things in preseason where Bloomquist told us repeatedly that he was happy with the depth, he was excited about it, it was something that he really thought was going to help this team out, and we've seen that so far with the players who are making the most of the opportunities given them. Guys like Kian Vu getting reps in the outfield, Compton obviously serving as the DH and in that corner outfield spot like you said, Noah, and it's really just opportunities for those guys to step in, make an impact, and try and find a spot on this team and carve themselves out, whether that's in the lineup consistently or maybe just a guy kind of like a play and spark kind of plug guy just throw in there when needed for maybe a pitch hitter or even to give a guy a day off down the road.
The other thing is that this is year 3, right, with Willie, and the way that we've seen the roster build from his first year, he has to piece things together in year 1. It's really not ideal just because of how late in the process of recruitment that he was hired. He hired in the summer of 2021, and from the second season he then gets 3 freshmen who start regularly, and those were successes. He gets 2 of them back on this team, Isaiah Jackson in center field, right, and Newton Contreras at third base. We got some news on him. He isn't 100%, but returned to the field today just to get some reps and will likely be fine moving forward. They don't have a midweek game this week, but ultimately the way that they've been able to build up the options for the lineup card has been something to see in terms of that arc.
Well, even with Contreras being out as well, we saw movement in the infield. Obviously, Kevin Carstetter moved over to third base to start off the series. And then freshman Ethan Mendoza, he stepped in at second base and served a role there. So we're even seeing in the infield that depth playing out in the field. They've done well at the plate as well. And then Contreras comes back today. Carstetter goes back to second base, and Mendoza kind of moves back to the bench. But you make the most of those opportunities, and you prove to Bloomquist and everyone else, if you're a player, that you're able to fill in and step in those roles when need be, when stuff like this does occur.
We've talked about the depth in getting new guys opportunity, getting Kian Vu back in the order, getting a guy like Brandon Compton who redshirted last year after some shoulder surgery that he had. And Billy Bloomquist has talked about it's building character within these guys and a lot of the lineup, and plus the adversity they face, it's building character amongst them to be able to overcome some of the pitching struggles that they faced early on and overall just strengthen the mold and callus of this team.
It's been a force that's carried them, no doubt. But I think when that's the case, when there's such a disparity between what the offensive production is and the pitching ability at this point in time, there's things that you just have to simplify. For them, it just feels like they're very focused on putting together good at-bats, hitting the ball hard, and sort of letting the results be what they may. Yesterday, it wasn't their best output in terms of runs, but they also hit the ball hard a lot, ended up with a decent number of hits by the end of the game. And so Bloomquist had mentioned it post-game yesterday. He's not worried about it because they have such a keyed-in approach with the talent to back that up that, you know, there's really not a lot to worry about. There's not a lot of unknowns. It seems like what you see with this offense right now is what you're going to get, and then drop Nick McClain in that.
Yeah, and like, why should you be concerned too at that point? If they have averaging 10 runs per game so far, only 3 games where they've fallen in single digits, and it's been a team that's taken advantage of their offensive opportunities and really has been supporting its pitching staff. And I think Friday was the first time ASU's all season, through their 8-game season so far, provided a full team effort in the sense that the pitching staff was able to hold Ohio State, and the offense was able to supplement that and provide some run support too.
Talking about the pitching staff, they've also had to build some character and mature up a little bit. A lot of freshmen in the rotation, especially in the back end. Willie Bloomquist talked about one of the games of wanting to extend his starters and be able to get them deeper into innings, but the back end has to hold up their end of the bargain.
The bullpen certainly is again, we've touched on this a lot in the last couple of weeks, an ongoing process of seeing who's game and who's not, and based on that, rolling out opportunities for those guys who have been performing. You see someone like Matt Cornelius, who's a junior college transfer. He gets thrown out there in his first couple appearances, scoreless, right? Rock solid. Bloomquist says this weekend that he's going to be a big part, you know, moving forward. You get Cole Carlone, who kind of steadies himself a little bit through a scoreless save, his second of his career. And, you know, when Bloomquist is talking about him giving more than 1 inning. That's kind of how they see the vision for him in a closer role. It's a reflection of what they have and don't have in the bullpen right now. And so really our job is to kind of just monitor good performance, bad performance, and see how these roles start to shake up as the season continues.
Yeah, and a lot of it too is, I mean, with Carlone getting that 2-inning save opportunities, is that it's a necessity at this point. It's not something that maybe they perhaps want to do, but in order to maintain themselves through that 7th and 8th inning and 9th inning, they have to put him out there to kind of try and keep themselves alive. And we saw Ben Jacobs too, he had a great performance on Thursday night, and you know, Bloomquist kind of said, you know, yeah, he could be a starter, but also they don't know what they need in the bullpen yet. So it's kind of the matter of figuring out and refining that rotation in the bullpen to make sure that the pitching staff is ready to go, you know, as this season progresses and moves forward.
A lot of experimenting going on with the bullpen and really the entire pitching staff early on in the season, trying to solidify it up before Pac-12 play begins. They have a little bit of non-conference left, and it's arguably the hardest non-conference left. They go to Globe Life Field, the home of the reigning World Series champion Texas Rangers, to take on 2 top 10 teams in the preseason in Texas A&M and TCU. That's really going to show the truth of this pitching staff and how they're going to be able to bounce back from adversity.
Not even arguably, right? Like there's Texas A&M number 8 in the nation, TCU number 5 just swept UCLA. The thing is, with ASU at 5-3 right now, the way to sort of gauge where this team is at, you know, you take into account strength of schedule. You think, you know, maybe this is a 7-1 team if this was a, you know, lighter schedule at the front end. So, you know, those are all things to take into account. There have been some ups and downs, but I think that's we touched on it, the character building, right? And now you have almost a full week, you know, to, as Bloomquist said in the press conference, kind of lick your wounds, get sort of ready for a big weekend. They don't have a midweek, and they're going to go straight into, I think it's 2 with Texas A&M and 1 with TCU, yeah? Big weekend, and it looks like they're going to be mostly healthy with Nick back and Nu'u seemingly moving closer toward 100%.
Yeah, and it's a good barometer too for the entire team, not just the pitching staff, to kind of figure out where they're at. Obviously, TCU just swept UCLA this past weekend, so you get to see how ASU matches up against TCU. USC obviously in the mix there as well, and you get to see if USC struggles and ASU has success, maybe, you know, you start to see where they rack up in the Pac-12. And even just still for this you know, hitting staff and this lineup, it's a good opportunity to get out and face some really good pitchers, top 10 rotation, and see where you stand and how explosive this offense can be as the season progresses. Especially, you know, this is a program that wants to go to Omaha. These are the teams you get to play if you get to Omaha and make the tournament.
There's really a chunk of teams beyond, so you have Oregon State right at the top of the Pac-12, and then there's like 3 or 4 behind them. You don't really know how those spots are going to land. I think ASU is in that mix. They're voted 6th in the preseason Pac-12 poll, but they're early returns, I think, kind of puts them a little bit above that right now. And depending on how the pitching improves and or doesn't improve, that is going to be sort of a deciding factor in terms of how they actually, you know, are they going to be the 2nd, 3rd, 4th in the Pac-12, you know, when all is said and done.
Yeah, you look at this team too, it's a team that's been battle tested through this early portion of the schedule. Santa Clara obviously coming off tournament appearance last year, probably could make it again this year. They could be in the running for it. Number 24, Kansas State, you get the upset win. And then, of course, this Ohio State team was pretty good, too. So, like you said, Noah, it's a team that maybe could have been 7-1 had the schedule been a little bit lighter, but they're battle testing themselves. So when they get to the tournament time, they have a strong non-conference schedule on their resume.
Battle testing, character building through the early part of this season for Willie Bloomquist Ball Club. They'll see how they can get some more non-conference resume to try and build up that tournament resume to try and get to that regional spot. That's going to do it for our SunDevilSource series recap. For Noah Furtado, Jake Seymour, I'm Blake Neiman signing off from Phoenix Municipal Stadium.